Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is your soul brother, Talib, assistant to brother Taalik Ibn'rad of Reality Temple Ministries, aka Operation Exodus, Mississippi. Um, I want to touch on something which is part of the title of this video, which is why I am tired of dealing with niggas. Okay, you know, I've come to the point, that we may in fact be headed for the slaughter, just like the Jews in Nazi Germany was almost a century ago. We may be in fact headed for the slaughter, be it the concentration camps, the death chambers, whatever you want to call it. We're headed in that direction, like we've always said from this platform of Reality Temple Ministries here on earth, and that's exactly what it is, because we take things for a joke as a group of people, far as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. We take things for a joke. I mean, we don't take liberation serious. We don't take the true sense of what it is to ever be free serious. We cannot, unfortunately, we cannot come together on a common, collective basis, because we're so stuck in the slave masters mentality, that goes back so many centuries ago up to now. And it's unfortunate that it's difficult, that it's chances that in fact we may never unite to totally free ourselves from under the foot of our 400-year-old oppressor because of that. And that is among one of the reasons why I am definitely tired of niggas, and moving along on this subject is that I feel that at this time and point, from what I've seen, even with this platform, where we're coming from, especially with the Mississippi campaign project, a lot of us, is scared to be free of our oppressor because we don't know what else to do other than depending on our oppressor for whatever substances that he's given us over these 400 years for us to survive on. We don't know no other way, to go. And we, as a matter of fact, from what I've been told, even by people in the so-called Black conscious community, that when the destruction comes upon America, or whatever the case is that they will wait and deal with how they gonna survive that situation when it comes. Well, it's unfortunately that it goes back to, like I said before, that we will be in the day for a rude awakening, just like the Jews in Nazi Germany was, who did not listen to the other Jews that warned them about their historical Holocaust over there in Nazi Germany. And, it's like this, just like brother basically was saying in another recent video, brother Taalik, who I'm critiquing, was saying, we on that bus, just riding. But when that bus stop, it's over with. When that bus stop, it's over with. The trip is over with. And it's been a long trip for over 400 years. But when that bus stop, it's over with. You're talking about mass concentration camps, as well as some mass graves that FEMA got set up to drop us off in, you know, along with, you know, shooting us unmercifully, you know, splattering every pieces of our body while blood is just gushing out. And whatever other, you know, torturous plan they got for us, you know, in terms of totally and finally ending the so-called Negro problem in America. Because that's their ultimate intent for us. Whether you want to accept it or not, or overlook it, or whatever, that's your choice. You have been warned as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. And then on top of that, what I want to also say is this, is that, you know, honestly, you know, another thing is that, truthfully, I'm glad I'm not living in an urban repository, you know, where it's a lot of us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves living or concentrated at here in the United States, far as especially these metropolitan big city areas and even smaller city areas in this country. I'm glad at this point, because it serves me no purpose as a dark-skinned descendant of a slave myself born in America. You know, it serves no purpose. If we cannot take control of a state such as Mississippi, where we could quarantine ourselves away from the rest of this crap going on throughout the rest of American society and carve a new reality for ourselves as a people, where we would know a freedom that we never knew as a people in this country, then what's the use of me going around a bunch of niggers? It's not going to serve a purpose. For me, like I said, I've been to several cities, lived in some cities where it's a lot of us populated at and concentrated, and it never really served me a true positive purpose other than mayhem, suffering, ignorance, violence, and any other negatives that come along with it, beside the few positives that I remember from it. Other than that, you know, that's all that comes from that, especially when, with my experiences of being in the Black conscious community for some years, you know, that definitely didn't help make matters better. And as I'm sure those of you that are aware, the conscious community, as well as just the presence of the conscious community, hasn't gotten us to the promised land that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about, you know. So like I said before, you know, at the end of the day, we are in a situation right now where I just don't see no use in me being around a bunch of Negroes. Not because I'm a self-hater, not because I hate myself or my, what you say, darkness, or those of you that use the word blackness or darkness, you know. No, that ain't got nothing to do with it at all. It's what I see. It's what I see clearly. Much as love as I got and want to see better for my people, I just don't see no use in being around them. It don't serve no purpose, like I say, because the only thing I'm going to find myself caught up in far as a strong potential situation is either jails or possibly certainly death, because we don't know how to act among each other to begin with. you know. And then another thing I want to say is this, is that I've come to understand, especially even dealing with the so-called Black conscious community, which I'm no longer a part of, is that, in which I finally am glad that I emancipated myself from. I feel like this. At this point, knowing how people act among each other, basically, we don't know which way we gonna be during the present minute nor the next minute. And from experience of me doing time, during a couple periods of incarceration periods that I did through 12-month calendars, a few 12-month calendars of, back during my past. It was the same thing like dealing with other inmates. You didn't know which way they was gonna act one minute or what other way they was gonna act the next minute, far as in terms of me associating with them. And that's just exactly the way it is, unfortunately, with Black people in this country. Again, I'm speaking of those who I prefer to call as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. And, like I said before, the principle, I'm not trying to sound institutionalized when I say it that way, but truth of the matter is that, the principle is basically the same when it comes to that point that I just made there, and that's how our people are. So I've come to a honest, conscious decision, and one that I feel deeply that is right for me, is that even if I got to be around a majority of Caucasians or races, at least I know what I'm dealing with. Like I've always said, and I've said it before, I believe in other videos. I think in other videos I've mentioned it before. At least I know what I'm dealing with. I don't have to second guess when I'm dealing with the children of slave master. I don't have to second guess 90-some% of the time what would be behind the reason of a negative situation that potentially might come about when it comes to dealing with them. But our people are what you call Black people, African people, African American people. I'm referring to those dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America once again, as I say. You don't know which way we gonna come. And that's just the truth of the matter. That is the truth of the matter. 1 minute, you got those like the Black Muslims, the Hebrew Israelites, those in the Kemetic teachings, that's into the Nubian teachings, those that's call themselves Moors or Moorish American or whatever. These other Afrocentric concept ideologies that they coming from. The first thing they'll say, oh, I'm your brother, or I'm your sister. The next minute, what they actually demonstrating don't indicate that they your brother or sister. And this has been going on back and forth for so long that I've come to the point that, hey, especially knowing what I could expect from an average so-called Negro on the streets, that, hey, it don't serve me a purpose of dealing with niggas. Not unless we get our shit, unless we get our, I was finna say that profane word, because I don't use profanity in my videos, but it's like this here. I'm gonna say this. At the rate we going, any dark-skinned descendant of a slave who decide they tired of being around a bunch of ignorant niggas and want to move out the black neighborhood and go to the suburbs where, Caucasian is, or whoever, or wherever other people may be, I don't blame them. And I've said this before, repeatedly in other videos. I've said this before. I said this on other live hangouts. Even when me and brother Taalik was doing hangouts together in the past, I've said this, and I'm sticking straight to where I stand at when it comes to that. Because I'm tired of the bull crap with our people. Our people don't want no better way of life other than to be slaves, other than to be niggas, other than to be, whatever else come along with being a nigga. And like I said before, I just don't have time for it. If you even look at the teachings of the Nation of Islam, they'll tell you, that even the Caucasian don't want to be around no nigga that's uncivilized, even though their oppression of us of over 400 years brought us to that point, or helped at least pretty much to bring us to that point. But they don't even want to be around us. Who want to be around a ignorant, savage Negro? You have no respect for yourself, your elders, nobody. I've been around brothers, even when I was doing time, that used to call their mother the B word, their own mother, who helped brought them in this world. Who want to be around a bunch of savages like that? You even got females that's acting more savagery than the brothers. I'm talking about far as sisters go, And it's just a point for what? Especially when it come to each other. Proof of point to these Caucasians, these races. Like these police that's gunning us down every day in the streets, which our people ain't getting no justice for, hardly 90-some% of the time. But you scared to do that because you cowards. Majority of you cowards, because you ain't gonna step to the oppressor like that. And the thing about it is that, you're not going to do nothing about your freedom. Like a simple thing like me and brother Taalik Ibn'rad got going with this Mississippi campaign project. You refuse to accept what comes along with this, with the possibilities of us creating a new reality for ourselves as a free people for once and for all, from under the hegemony of this Caucasian oppressor. You refuse to want to even try it because you scared. I've never seen no people in the history of this planet Earth, other than the so-called American Negro, that has that much fear in their heart when it comes to wanting true freedom and justice and equality for themselves and their people. And it just, obviously over 400 years of slavery and oppression has retarded our people that bad. It's unfortunate. I understand and I concur that it's unfortunate that we've come damaged goods. This is why we need to get together and carve out a new reality for ourselves by taking control of the politics of a state, which we could work from, You know what I'm saying? To make at least a better future for our future generations coming behind us. Because as it stands, they ain't got no chance. And you know what? I'm going to say this too. Critiquing what Brother Taalik said recently in another video is that, for those of us who come from who was raised in the 1980s era on up, those of us born in the 60s and raised in the 70s and 80s on up. If I was a part of the future generation coming behind us, I would erase us out of history, period. And that's what they should do. Because we've done nothing. Speaking of Black History Month, by the way, yeah, we've done nothing, to advance our people's cause in terms of liberation. We've done nothing to advance ourselves as a people as a whole, to better our condition as a people in this country from where it's at now. We've done nothing effectively like that as a whole since the civil rights movement of the 1960s, which is over 50 years ago. We've done nothing since then to effectively bring about concrete change in some kind of way or another for ourselves as a people, just out of fear alone. So this generation here, where I come from, unfortunately, I'm from this generation, but if I was the future generation coming behind us, yes, I would mark us out of history. And matter of fact, like I said, that's what they should do. Erase us out of history. Like we never existed at all. Flat out. Well, we'd be just a totally forgotten generation of people. And I wouldn't be mad if that's the course they chose to take. I would not be mad. I would not be upset or mad at all about it, because we've done nothing worthy to even be remembered or to even be able to go down in history to be remembered as a generation. We're pitiful as a generation. And I know a lot of you may not agree with that, but hey, look at the facts. Don't argue with me. Go look at the facts. And if you still want to argue, then argue with the facts. But like I said before, we're beyond repairable. This is about our future generations coming behind us. And since a lot of us cannot see that, obviously, and don't want to see that, even with the proposal of this Mississippi campaign by me and brother Taalik, then hey, like I said before, it serves no purpose, to deal with niggas. And that's why I stand. But it serves no purpose to deal with niggas. It don't make no sense, It don't serve no purpose. If I'm going to catch hell for the rest of my life, I'd rather catch hell from the Caucasian slave master oppressor, who's the root of us being in this situation in the first place. I'd rather catch hell from them. Because niggas, what can niggas do for me? For me even to accept, let alone for me to even accept advice from niggas, but to accept being especially oppressed by another dark-skinned person that looked like me. That's a descendant of a slave born in America, as myself, Like I said, whatever happens in terms of anything detrimental, I'd rather it come from the Caucasian. I know many of you might say, oh man, you sound crazy. You sound like an Uncle Tom. Yeah, well, okay, whatever. Whatever that's what you want to think, that what it is, so let it be then. But I know one thing, I tell you one thing, what my life was a few years ago and where I was geographically living at prior to me coming to the location where I'm at now, my life was headed for death. Not only dealing with you, but being around most of you crazy niggas anyway. Just the mere fact I was around a bunch of you crazy Negroes who didn't want nothing better as a people out of life, especially as a whole in terms of true liberation. Hey, you know, if I'd have stayed around y'all long enough, I probably would be dead in one of them urban repositories, whether it be Detroit, Louisville, Kentucky, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, that's all that's there. It's nothing, and that's what makes it nothing but a big repository. You know, what, poverty slums? You know, who want to live like that? Especially to those of you in religion, think about it. Did your God intend for anybody among humanity to live like that anyway? So, I mean, what I want to be around that for? I mean, that's just common sense anyway. What I want to be around that for, you know? So like I said before, and I mean, I tell you, I'm moving along with my life. I'm moving along more, better, and smoothly than I was, than being around a bunch of you crazy Negroes in a geographic location somewhere else, in another part of the United States. You know, because like I said before, you know, y'all, you know, y'all, we are a destroyed people. You know, maybe we might have had better hope during the civil rights movement, but once that passed, that was it. That was a wrap. You know, that was it. Ever since then, it's been downhill from there. Especially with these pro-black conscious you know, entities and groups coming about. That definitely ain't made the situation no better, you know. So like I said before, at the end of the day, what do I care about being around a bunch of Negroes? I mean, you know, for what? So like I said, I could take a chance, walk out my place, and possibly get my head blown off in the middle of a shootout. Something I ain't got to too much worry about around here. Even though, don't get me wrong, you got Rays and Pookies in every race and nationality. I'm not going to get that twisted. But it ain't as serious as if I was back in the Detroit or Louisville, Kentucky, or Lexington, Kentucky, you know, or any other black or so-called urban repository in the United States, you know, and it's just that simple. I don't want to be around a bunch of you niggas like that. And there's a difference between niggas and the people of soul. The people of soul who I prefer to as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. We as people of soul, you know, it's a difference between niggas and people with soul. So I just want to get that straight in this video. You know, but like I said before, y'all acting like a bunch of niggas. So y'all gonna keep getting what niggas get. Whether it's some racist cop blowing your head off just because Just because he see a nigga, or dark-skinned one at that. Because that's just the way they see things anyway. Or some other races blowing your head off. They say it's been more racist attacks on dark-skinned people in this country has been escalating more since Trump been the president. But, you want to still keep being niggas. Keep being niggas. Keep being niggas. You gonna keep getting what niggas get. Especially because you don't want to unite. and for people like that, I could care less. You don't want to better your situation or your condition as a people? Like the Quran would say, Allah don't help a people until people help to change their own condition or what's in their heart, brother, to say, hey, for those of you in religion, once again, whether you coming from the Quranic perspective or the biblical perspective or whatever other scripture you coming from, if you don't want to change your condition, then hey, it is what it is, and it's going to keep being exactly that way. And I'm not going to feel sorry for your happy ass. And it's just that simple. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm just not going to feel sorry for you at all. Because you did, you've already dug a hole for yourselves as a people by not heeding the warning of the message that has been passed on to you for generations. Which means it's time to come up out of her. As it would say, for those of you that are Christian in the biblical scriptures of Revelation, come out of her, my children, come out of her. Well, at least I could say one thing. Not all of them, but some of them had common sense enough to see that. Before, Hitler sent his Gestapo goons in on them to haul them off to them concentration camps. And see, at least those that heeded the message said, well, I'd rather it better not be me than them. And that's where I stand at. And that's what any dark-skinned descendant of a slave or person of soul with any common sense should be willing to stand at. When it comes to these peckerwoods making a move on us by hauling us off to these FEMA concentration camps. Because then eventually, at the right given time or opportunity, it's going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm not the first one that's been putting this warning out. And I'm sure I may not be the last one putting this warning out. But it's going to happen eventually. It got to be a certain given opportunity of the right time for it to happen. And see, this is what we've been warning you about all along. But you keep taking this for a joke. This is not a game. You see the situation and the atmosphere that this country is caught up in. You still not taking things serious. Keep playing. Just keep playing. And you will see. So like I said before, as with that said, I just wanted to drop that in on you. Far as my fellow soul family, hey, it is what it is. Accept it. Like Elijah Muhammad said, take it or leave it. Accept it or move on. Simple as that. It's no game. This is real. This is in real live living color. We are in a very delicate situation as a people where anything detrimentally could happen to us that would permanently destroy us. This is the situation that we find ourselves in as a group of people in this nation. So, like I said, keep playing with the ideal of true liberation and freedom. Keep playing, and you will see. I promise you, and trust that, you will see. Ask them, like I said, ask the descendants, or rather yet, ask those, not the descendants, but those that still may be living. Those Jews that were around in Germany during the Holocaust that may still be surviving. If they're living, ask them how things turned out, because they didn't heed the message from those among their people that saw their destruction coming during that time. You know, so like I said before, oh, and one more thing I want to say before I close out. Yeah, critiquing. Me and brother Taalik was having a conversation, and you know, he told me something, that this woman, she was I think the last survivor of the Tulsa massacre from 1921. She was the last surviving member of the Black Wall Street Tulsa massacre of 1921. And she said that she remembered as a little girl when the older adults were talking about the probability of that happening, or what happened to those people in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, when the racists came through and not only blew up and burnt down everything that they established as a community, which was called Black Wall Street at the time in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but killed many of them as well. You know, and she was the last living, I was told the last living survivor of that atrocity. And she said that her people knew that back then, the people knew, rather to say that that was coming, but they never prepared to do anything about it effectively. And see, this has always been the case with us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. We see something coming, but we won't plan effectively or come together and organize effectively to do something about preventing whatever may befall us or whatever destruction may come upon us that detrimentally hurt us as a people. So, I mean, this is what we're going to continue getting for not heeding the message. The writing is written in the wall. That's all I'm going to say for that now. And for those of you who are listening in the YouTube comment section or listening on Facebook and any other place out there in social media land, I give my shout outs to you. And but that, as our brother Don Cornelius would say, peace, love, and soul. Audi 5000.